Hi, I'm Movie Man. I'm an octopus who reviews movies, and today's review is going to be on. Oh, this was a movie that I was quite looking forward to. I do really love those first two movies in the X trilogy, X and Pearl. Both fantastic movies in my opinion, X especially. So naturally I was very excited for this third movie in the trilogy, this conclusion. Um and yeah, the trailers for it were looking quite good. Like they definitely made the film look interesting. So, I was looking forward to seeing this final chapter in Ty West's X trilogy. So obviously the movie was released there this past weekend, and I went to go see it there over the weekend. And having seen the movie for myself, what do I think? Well, let me start off the bat by saying this. It was a bit disappointing in my opinion. Like, I'll just say this, for me, out of the entire trilogy, I do think this one is like easily the weakest. But with that being said, I still liked the movie overall. I did think it's alright. It is a good film. Um, Now getting into my thoughts on the movie. To start things off, I think the cinematography in the movie is actually very good. Like, one thing that I do love about all three of these movies is with how they're each set in like different time periods. Like, they kind of go for like a certain kind of aesthetic with all three of them, like depending on when they are set. Like, with X being set in the late 1970s, they go for that look. And then with Pearl being set in the late 1910s, they kind of went for that look again as well. And now with this movie being set around the mid 80s, once again they kind of go for a real kind of 80s aesthetic with the movie, and I'm not gonna lie, I genuinely really liked it. It helps really give the movie its style, and yeah, like, to be fair, I do think it was definitely a very visually pleasing film to look at. So with that being said, I think overall the cinematography is really good. Like, I do genuinely like the 80s aesthetic. It gets it well. It is a well shot movie. I do think there are honestly some really well shot scenes in the movie. Yeah, so the cinematography is good. Now as for the editing in this film, like, I think this is overall a pretty well edited movie. Like, to be fair, I mean, while the story is kind of mainly told in order, like, we do get a fair amount of flashback scenes. They're kind of coming back to past events, and there'll be times where we'll kind of cut to like news reports and stuff. For what it's worth, I think it's done pretty well. You know, I think it fits the movie well enough. Kind of helps make it a bit more interesting. In terms of its aesthetic. And it can be a bit erratic with the editing at times. I don't think it goes too over the top to the point where it takes out the movie. It does it just well enough, just erratic enough. So overall, I would say that the movie was well edited. In terms of the pace of this movie now, with this movie, it has kind of a runtime like around same as the first two. Some is an hour and 44 minutes. I don't really mind it that much. I like with the three movies how they're quite consistent with their runtime. And for what it's worth, I think the pacing in this movie is good enough. Like, the film doesn't really feel like that short of a movie. Like, I didn't feel like the film was really rushing all that much. Like, I thought the movie went at a well enough pace. I suppose it did feel a bit long, but it felt like that long to the point where I felt it dragged. Like, honestly, I think the movie overall did a good enough job with the pacing. I don't know if this is like the best out of the trilogy in terms of the pacing. But with that being said, I still think overall it is good pacing. I think the story is evenly paced enough. Everything kind of feels like right where it is. So I'd say the pace in this movie is quite good. As for the sound and music in the film, I'll admit, the soundtrack for this movie do throw in a lot of 80s songs, songs that would have been released around the time that the movie is set. And for what it's worth, I do think they fit the movie well enough. They're good songs, and with all that being said, it is some good music, and I think in terms of what of a score that we do get, I think it's good enough. I wouldn't say it's a great score. I don't think it's the best score of the three, but I still think it's a good enough score and fits the movie well enough. I'd say the sound and music in the movie overall is quite good. Now, in terms of the characters and the performances from the cast, now starting things off, obviously we have to talk about the titular character herself, Maxxxine Minx. And to be fair, I did really like Maxxxine in this film. I liked how the movie continues on her arc from X of her wanting to be a star, and obviously if you've seen the previous two movies, you know how much that mirrors Pearl's character. To be fair, I thought it was a good arc, and I do think Maxxxine was a compelling character here. She was really good and definitely led the movie very well, and yeah, once again, Mia Goth definitely does a great job here. Also, I don't know if this is her best performance out of the three movies, but with that being said, I do think she did a great job here. Like, it's honestly so impressive how, like, she's just able to play, like, all these characters. Like, she plays Maxine in X, she plays the older Pearl in X, then she plays the younger Pearl in Pearl, and now in this movie she's Maxine, but after the events of X, where she's kind of definitely more like Sarah Connor from T2, if you understand what I'm saying, where after surviving everything in the previous movie, she's definitely way more prepared, and so I liked how what the movie did with her character there. It was done very well, and yeah, as I said, Goth, I don't know if it's her best performance of the three movies, but she definitely did a great job here. So yeah, honestly, I thought the character of Maxine and Goth's performance, they were both done brilliantly here. Now obviously, Maxine is the central character of the film, but we do have a group of supporting characters, and I won't get too much into all of them, but I will say that I do think the supporting characters were all pretty good, and they definitely played their roles in the story very well. Like, honestly, out of the three movies, like, this film definitely has the most star-studded cast, I feel. Like, in the supporting cast, we do have some very notable names like Bobby Cannavale, Michelle Monaghan, Giancarlo Esposito, Halsey, Lily Collins. I think, like, all of them in their respective roles, like, from what amount of screen time that they get, they play the roles very well. Now some of them actually weren't in the movie that much. Like for those who are watching this, if any of you are fans of Halsey or Lily Collins, all I'll say is, do not go into this movie expecting them to be in the film that much, because they're not really in the movie that much. But with that being said, I think they're good enough from what screen time that they get, as well as a bunch of the other supporting cast. However, out of the non-Mia Goth cast members, I think there's two in particular which I think were definitely standouts, so I will give a brief mention to. So one of them is Elizabeth Debicki, who stars in this as Elizabeth Binder, who is the director of this film that Maxine is starring in. I'm not gonna lie, I actually genuinely really liked her character. Like you can tell she's kind of really tough on Maxine, and is basically kind of trying to get Maxine to start even if it means being a bit hard on her. Like, I think you can honestly understand her motivations very well, and honestly, I actually really liked the performance from Debicki. Like, honestly, I think she actually really disappeared into the role, like, very well. And also, I actually really liked her character. And also, I want to give mention to Kevin Bacon. He's also in this movie, and he's basically this private investigator who is aware of Maxine's past from X. And like, I mean, like with his character, he's constantly stalking Maxine. Like we see him kind of following her around. Yeah, honestly, he's definitely a very suspicious character because it's established in the movie that, you know, he's been hired by someone who is stalking Maxine. And like, to be fair, like, I honestly did think Kevin Bacon did a really good performance here. Like, he really kind of made his character very suspicious, and yeah, honestly, he definitely gave a very good performance whenever he was on screen. So yeah, for what it's worth, I honestly did genuinely really like the characters in the movie, and the acting in the film I thought was very good. Obviously, Mia Goth is the standout here, but a lot of the supporting cast, especially Debicki and Bacon, are very good as well. So yeah, the characters and the acting were very good in my opinion. Now, in terms of the plot of this movie, now, obviously this film, it carries on from the events of X. Like, it's set like a few years after the events of X, with how now Maxine is in Hollywood, and you know, she's kind of trying to become a big name. Like, it pretty much continues on from her aspirations in X. And like, for what's worth, I think the movie did a good job with it. Like, you know, it's definitely an intriguing plot. You know, you're interested to see what is gonna happen, and like, yeah, also like, it's a genuinely compelling, and like, also we kind of do have some more stuff on here with other characters, but I think they fit into the movie well enough to where it doesn't get too distracting. Of course, there's a subplot in the movie about this like killer who is basically stalking Maxine, and of course they've kind of hired Kevin Bacon's character to, you know, stalk her a bit. And also, I do think it was a good enough subplot. Now, I'll admit, I didn't think it was that great. Like, to be fair, like, well, like, obviously in the film's climax, we find out, like, who this killer actually is, and to be fair, like, if you've kind of kept up with the film, like, especially in X, if you've kind of kept up with this, then I think it may be a bit obvious as to who it turns out to be. Also, I think the movie did do a good enough job at it, to where, like, you know, it wasn't like that unsatisfying. Yeah, like, I do think like they could have done a bit of a better job with the reveal. Like, nonetheless, like, I think the whole story here, where Maxine's starring in this movie and she's trying to make her big break, but there's stuff getting in the way. It is overall a compelling plot, and you do root for Maxine, I feel. But yeah, so overall, I would say that the plot of the movie is very good. In terms of the film's narrative structure, Now, like, also as I've mentioned, the main plot of this film is with Maxine trying to be a star, but some things from her past are kind of getting in the way of that, and yeah, like, it's definitely compelling enough, and yeah, like, you are interested to see what's gonna happen, you are rooting for Maxine, but like, I mean, we have like one or two other subplots, like, we have the whole subplot, like, with, this, like, killer who's stalking Maxine, and how they've, like, hired Kevin Bacon's character, whose name is John Labus, I forgot to mention, and yeah, I do think, it's overall a good enough subplot, well, I feel like it could have had a better revelation. I still liked it enough for what it was, and like, in terms of like other subplots, like, we have this whole subplot about, like, these people being killed, and we have Bobby Cannavale and Michelle Monaghan's characters, who are like these two LAPD detectives who are like on this case. I think their subplot was pretty good, and I thought it fit into the main movie well enough. Like, overall, like, I think the movie does well enough with its narrative structure, and like, during the first two acts of the movie, it is genuinely compelling, has you wanting to see what's gonna happen. Now, I'll admit, like, the third act of the film could have been a bit better. Like, I feel like, as I've said, the reveal could have been a bit better, just because of how, like, kind of obvious it was, and not to mention, I honestly do feel like the climax was a bit rushed, I'm gonna be honest, but nonetheless, I still thought overall the movie did good with its narrative structure, even when it had like kind of other stuff going on. I thought the way it fit into the main plot overall was done very well. So overall, Maxine was a good movie. Now, while I do think it's easily the weakest of the X trilogy, I still overall thought it was a very good film in its own right. A good cinematography, you had like good music, good characters, performances. I thought the plot was engaging enough, I think it was interesting enough to see what was gonna happen. Well, I do feel like the movie could have been a bit better in certain aspects, and I feel like just could have been a little bit more of a better conclusion. I did really like the movie in its own right, and for what it's worth, I do think it's a satisfying conclusion to the trilogy. Now, I think Ty West has mentioned like that he could be making another one, that he has ideas for a potential fourth movie, and to be honest, I don't know if I exactly want a fourth movie, because honestly I feel like the way the movie ends, not giving it away, I do think it's a satisfying enough conclusion to the trilogy, but like, whatever idea he has for the fourth movie, if it's a good enough idea, and like, if it's able to justify its existence, then I think I would be open to it. But I do think Maxine, while it is the weakest of the trilogy, is still a very good film in its own right, and I thought it was a good conclusion to the trilogy. So with that, I'm going to give Maxine an 8 out of 10. So that, I'll see you guys next time, and bye.